right, start streaming. So today we are going to, by popular request, see what it takes to get chip-off data recovery on a Galaxy S6. This is an S6 Edge, and Mark is here. So Mark was in the middle, hey, what are you doing today while we're teaching the class? And he was in the middle of a chip-off, and I said, hey, that's something that everybody on stream has been asking about. So I asked him to kind of do this cooking show style. So he's going to show us what does it take to actually read data off the chip. So Mark, every S6 you can read, or what's the deal?
Yeah, all the S6 series. There's if the user has opted into encryption, then you can't read. Well, you can read, but you can't.
Can read.
Yeah, you can read a bunch of garbage. So that's the only case
how many
that doesn't work.
How many encrypted ones have you come across?
None.
No. Okay,
yeah.
so it's kind of like nobody does that, and if you did do that, you would know, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So okay, and if you were the kind of guy that wanted to opt into encryption, you're probably the kind of guy that backs up your data, so you're probably not in the queue.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, gotcha. So,
but then on the S7 and up, it's encrypted by default, so
okay,
no longer possible.
all right. So for the S7 and up, you still have to make the phone work again to natively access the data, just like an iPhone.
Just like an iPhone.
Just like an iPhone. All right. So fair enough. So tell us what's going to happen here. That's the S6 board there under the microscope.
Yeah. So we've got the S6 Edge board here. And the UFS memory chip is already back on it. Normally it has underfill in between it and the chip that's below it, the second layer.
So that's a double layer chip like the iPhone CPU.
Right.
Okay. All right. Chris Long says he hates his reader. It's 0 for 10. Jeez.
Oh my gosh, send them to me. I'll.
That's right. Well, you should send them to iPad Rehab straight away. So how many have you not been able to read?
I've got 3 at home that I'm still working out. They have issues that are.
They're in some kind of a state.
Yeah, they're in some kind of a state.
And how many have you successfully read?
Closing in on 20.
Okay. All right. So it seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah. The times when it fails, it's most likely going to be bad chip.
Right.
Unless
that was the problem with the device to begin with.
Right.
Okay.
Unless all of them are failing, and then maybe it's
right.
process.
Right. Okay. And how hard was it for you to figure all this out, to like jump through all the hoops? How long did it take you until you were like, yeah, I can totally do this, no doubt, I don't need to practice anymore, give me your data, I'm ready to go?
Well, I mean, the all the skills involved were kind of collected in different areas and just put together for this, so it didn't take that long.
So it did take 10 years to learn how to do all this stuff,
right,
but then
right.
once you actually sat down in front of a board, you were all right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So let's go back and look under the microscope. So this is a different style chip than the eMMC chips on the older Samsungs?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
because for a long time you could not read. There was no reader for the S6 because it's this UFS chip.
Right. And I mean, the tool that we use isn't something that was designed for this purpose. It's a kind of generic read and write onto a bunch of different kinds of chips. And it just so happens that it can do it with this one.
Okay. All right. So carry on.
Okay. So we're gonna snatch this chip off.
Snatch this chip off. All right. Let's see. So is this super low heat or regular soldering temperature?
Yeah, I was going to mention that this because this has been off already and has leaded balls. I'm using a lower temperature than I normally would, but even if it was lead free, I would be using a lower temperature than I would use on iPhone boards because this.
Didn't you do a test where the data recovery guys think this chip is like sandpaper fragile and said you had to use like low melt and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, I've personally reballed an individual chip 10 times with leaded solder and still had it be readable.
Okay, so you
just to kind of see.
You think that they're tougher than?
I think they're tougher than most people would. Most people think.
Right now, on a scale of 0 to 10 Oshfox, how representative of what we just saw would be if you had a lead-free regular S6, just opened it up out of the housing?
It would have taken probably 15 seconds longer to get the chip off.
And do you have to do a lot of to like get your tool?
No. You just work it in. If you meet any resistance, you stop, and you just keep working it slowly until it's all the way, from one side to the other, and then work it the opposite direction, like kind of slicing the chip off.
It's helpful to know what it looks like under there. I did one of them, and did not realize that it had. Go back to the board. What you're really filleting here are the sides.
Yeah. So the balls are on both sides, and then if this had never been touched, those balls would be encased in the Samsung underfill, and there would be a layer of it between the top of that chip and the bottom of the one that I took off.
And you have to get rid of that.
Right, and it's usually stuck to the one you took off, so then you have to get all of that off without, pulling, because these on this chip are pads.
Right.
So you've got to worry about pulling pads on the chip.
So what do you do? Can you put an iron on that and make them all like mowed down before you take off the underfill?
Yeah. So what I do is low heat and pick with my X-Acto blade and my really sharp tweezers.
So low heat, 200, 100.
Yeah. Just to soften it up and get the underfill off.
How do you hold the chip? Do you have a special board holder for that, or just stick it on tape?
No, I just hold it down with tweezers.
Okay. Yeah. And how long does that take?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Have you ever pulled a pad?
On one, yeah, I did pull a pad on one.
What a noob!
I know.
Huh. And then what'd you have to do?
Then I made a little jumper with a little circle and put a single ball of leaded solder on that little circle and created a new ball. And then it was it was floppy. So then
nobody likes floppy balls.
Yeah, it was basically the only thing holding it to the board was the jumper.
Yeah.
So I took some of the green UV stuff and kind of painted around underneath it and had it sit in that and cured it, and then it held and stuck it in the reader and it read.
And it read and you got data.
Yep.
Score.
And of course I tried reading before putting.
So you tried reading with the ball off.
Yeah.
And it didn't read.
No.
So do you think every one of those balls is required, or some of them, or?
I don't think all of them are required, but I haven't taken the time to.
The lesson is don't fuck up a ball.
Yeah.
All right. And if you do, fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, let's look and see if chat's got any questions about this before we continue on here.
All right.
So let's see. This is Chris Long thinks his reader is his problem. The socket is supposedly good. The chip removal isn't hard, nor is the reball. Here's what we can do for you, Chris Long. We can read a chip for somebody that doesn't want their phone back, and then we'll send it to you. See if you can read it. It's a good idea. Then you'll know. Then you can rule out if your reader can read one of the chips that we already read. Then you'll know. So that's a good deal. For the low price.
I guess I would make the point there, and you're going to see as we go through this. I reball with balls on this because the only stencils you can get are very thin, and I don't think they're just thick enough to put just enough solder to touch the pins in that reader.
Okay.
But it
needs meaty balls.
Yeah, that reader has like troughs on each side that the pins are down inside of, so the balls have to like.
And can we look at that under the microscope later?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it ready to read now or no?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Oh no.
No, not at all.
No, of course
it needs
not.
big fat balls.
Big fat balls. Chris Long says, "Can we do a full pull and reball and read?"
We could if I
Kind
had
of.
another one.
Yeah. Do we have enough? How about this? Who from the class left an S6 in here that they want us to read?
Yeah,
if you are
Paul's
watching
got
on
some
stream,
boards over there, and I know he's got an S6.
Hello? I know Peter Campbell is in the stream. Peter Campbell, go down and knock on Paul's door, wake him up, ask him if we can go over there and figure out which one of his S6s, and
Kevin,
we'll read it.
Kevin has one too.
Or wake up Kevin. Yeah, either one of those guys. If anybody gives us permission to go try to read their chip, then we can do that. Otherwise, we're stuck with what we have, because this is straightforward, and Mark pretty much just does them right away, so they don't really stick around. So I had to stop him and say, "Whoa, why don't we do this one for stream?" And he's like, "Well, I already read it." Well, stick it back on there, and we're gonna try to get something for people to see. All right. So let's see. What is the temperature? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know.
The temperature I use with the Samsungs is.
Chris Long says all his chips are recognized by the reader. They just always have zero partition when I read. What's Paul's last name? I don't know his room number. I don't know if we can reveal that. His room number at the. I don't know. Why aren't you guys all hanging out? What the heck?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You should be getting drunk somewhere together right now.
Seriously, exactly. All right. Paul, is your name Paul? Sorry. All right. Okay.
Makes it happen gets
What?
whoever makes this happen gets to pick what kind of pizza we get.
Okay, whoever makes this happen, says Christy, gets to pick what kind of pizza is for lunch at the course tomorrow. So there you go. I just need his name, and I can ask at reception. All right, how about this? Christy, can you send Peter Campbell an email with the last name of our student Paul, who I don't think we should rat out on stream.
What's up with the color? Like, look at my arm.
I don't know.
It's...
Whoa!
Look at
Oh,
that.
I get it. It's Halloween. You're a skeleton. All right, let's carry on here.
All right.
And we'll see if that can happen or not. All right. So let's go back and look at the microscope. So step 2?
Step 2 is remove old balls and tin pads with leaded solder. So.
Are you gonna wick?
No, I'm not gonna wick.
Oh, okay, God forbid. Oh my God, Mark, this one phone today, prior repair attempt, one chip was off by a whole row, and the note was hilarious. It said, "I'm out of ideas. I've cleared almost all of the shorts." And so he had this chip one that was off by a whole row. And then all these other chips he'd replaced. PMIC, audio IC was gone, just TriStar, bunch of stuff. Every chip that I looked at was sitting on braided pads that were so naked they were all cold joints. He didn't tin the pads. There was nothing for the balls to adhere to, so they're just sitting there. Total nightmare.
Wow.
All right.
All right.
Let's see if they can get this to work. Oh, it's gonna work. All right, so you have to put new balls on it for it to read. You can't just mash it down in there like that.
Nope.
Now in the eMMC readers, do you also have to put balls on them?
No, those are designed differently where the pins stick up out of the surface that the chip sits on, so they go up. So that can work with balls or without.
Okay, so this is a different technique than you used to have to use.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And everybody that I'd talked to before trying it was very, very concerned about using like low melt solder on it. So, I started out doing that.
With low melt solder paste?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it just, even when all the balls were as big as you can get them with the stencil, they still weren't big enough.
All these balls were big enough. Mark's balls were too small. All right, so you think you've given up on paste entirely because you need bigger balls than paste can provide?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what size are these balls?
0.3.
0.3. Those are big balls.
Yeah.
Now, what's this stencil? Is this a stencil for S6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Soon to be available at Every Have Supply. In other news, Mark, you need to give me your stencil source. Alright, so this is just, you're playing one of them little kid games that you get at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
You know, just use your finger and roll them around. That's what I do.
I don't want lead balls all over my hands.
Oh, I see. Prissy disease. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Alright. Richard Gorecki says he uses only solder paste and he has no problems.
Well, I had problems, so I do this.
Now, is everybody pretty much buying the same reader, or are there multiple versions of this thing out there?
Nope, it's just this one. At least to my knowledge, I've never heard of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the whole world was waiting for this to kind of come out for a long time.
Yeah, and I believe that this existed all along, and just it took somebody, was the first one to figure out, hey, wait a minute, this thing will do it.
Yeah. Well, I think for a long time people felt that the S6 was encrypted.
Yeah, I'd heard that a lot, but it's Android 6 that is encrypted, and Android 6 didn't ship in the S6.
So none of the S6s came with that. So they were all set up on the not encrypted by default.
That's my understanding. Now, I do know, I remember talking to Rich about it.
Yep.
And he had said that if the S6s were manufactured and sold after a certain date, that they would have shipped with Android 6. But I don't believe I've run across that.
All right. It was pretty cool though, because you were able, our initial approach on S6 was make the phone work again. There were a lot that you got working and got data, everything's fine, but then there were some of these really ancient ones that we couldn't make work, that kind of went into the, vault of, one day we'll come back to these. So didn't you recover our oldest ticket kind of recently?
Yeah.
How long had that device been sitting here waiting for magic?
I'm not sure exactly. I think it was somewhere I want to say the first quarter of 2015 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it predated the course.
Was the guy still alive?
Actually, it was for a local.
Okay.
And it's still sitting over there.
There's your data.
Yeah.
Why is it taking you so long to come pick it up?
Oh, that reminds me. We need to talk to Greg to get the contact info.
Oh, okay. You just knocked one of your balls.
Yeah, well, that'll happen. Which one?
It was kind of up at the top. You might have settled back into place.
Yeah, they look fine to me.
Alrighty.
All right, so now I got to come in with very, very low airflow.
Low airflow, like 10%. And you want a big nozzle.
Big nozzle, low airflow.
Alright. And you're at a little lower than your normal iPad or your normal iPhone soldering temperature.
Right.
You're missing a ball in that one spot, I think.
It'll be okay.
Alright. So now this is your at kindergarten nap time, and you're just trying to keep everybody from getting rowdy. And you're watching to make sure nobody's going to get rowdy and jump out of their crib.
Right. I just want these guys to settle down.
Settle down. The lullabies are playing. This is not time to talk to your neighbor. So you put no flux on top or anything that you don't use any glass.
Well,
on
there's
top
a
or
little.
anything like that?
There was a little bit of flux residue on the chip,
Right.
but no, not on top of the balls. And I normally use a longer set of tweezers so that I don't burn the shit out of my hands. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Okay.
swap out.
Now, so if the ball doesn't drop down, do you just come do it by hand, and you think the chip can withstand heating twice?
Yeah. If I have any issues with individual balls after this first run, then I place them by hand after the stencil is off.
All right, so let's see. Anthony Finch says, will this only work on S6 using Android 5, or will it work on the ones upgraded to A6 or A7?
It will work on newer versions of Android as long as they didn't opt in for
Yes.
encryption.
It sounds like if you start out of the gate when you set up your device with 5, then the setup menu there doesn't say, hey, do you want it to be encrypted? But if you start out, like you open the box and you're starting out of the gate with the later ones, then it does say maybe something like, do you not want it encrypted? It's
So
default.
I added a little bit of flux now.
Mm-hmm.
The balls were most of them were tacked down, and this just helps them now. I don't like adding flux before because it tends to just bubble them out of the holes. So there's a few here I can see that aren't connecting to their pads that I'm going to have to go back in
so
and
you want them to turn shiny and not, or you know, if they kind of combine with the solder below, you can kind of see a little bit of a color change.
yeah.
All right. So you popped it out,
Yeah.
and now you're gonna go look for pads with no balls.
Yep.
Like those 3 right there.
Yeah, just like those.
Great. So that looks pretty good, except for the 3, and we can't see the bottom of the chip.
Yeah, I got
Oh, yeah, you
1,
got
2,
3
3,
there.
4, 5, 6,
And then 3.
7, 8, 9.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's a good thing I dumped out way more than I need, right?
Not really when I have to solder there in the morning and put a phone down, and I'm like, why is there a short on here? Oh, were you here when we got so trolled today at the course doing the sex toy mini, when they went to inject current into a line, and we knew the line was not short, and they go and connect the alligator clamps from the DC power supply, and the thing is showing this like 2 amp short. What? How? And then we took it off, and I'm like, what's going on here? And it was not short on the board, but when you connected the power supply, there's a short. What the heck is that? That's like impossible. And so then I sat down and looked at it, and the stupid cables, China had put the red sleeve on the black alligator clamp, and vice versa. And it's just like, you gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
That was such a troll.
Thank you, China. All right. Had to get rid of this fucking blue mat shit. I can't.
A poor
Uses a blue mat. That's where you're going with that, right?
No, it was blames his tools. Using very low heat. No, not really. It heats 350 on the JVC. Low airflow, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have an AOUE, you probably just take what you get. So, you know, I don't think you get to really tell it that you want it to be 350. So that would be, I would die if the reason why Chris Long can't read any of these chips is because of the AOUE.
Oh man.
Please let that be true. All has been contacted.
All right.
He's
Come on.
He's gonna come tell us that we can take off his S6 chip.
Oh, good.
What type of stands do you use for your microscopes? They seem to be easier to move up and down, back and forth compared to the double boom. Yes, we can, when we get done with the microscope, you can check out the stand. We use the articulating stand. Some people hate it. It's not very stable. If I, do this,
Yeah,
that happens.
you don't want that.
You don't want that while you're delicately trying to nudge balls around. Yeah, this is the ugly dark side of reballing stuff.
Yeah. All right. So, 7 more to go.
7 more balls. Alrighty. Mark, what are you going to be for Halloween?
A dad.
Again this year?
Yep. Well, my gorilla suit got ruined, so
Did you actually have a gorilla suit?
yeah. So like Max's first Halloween, we got him a little banana suit, and I got a gorilla suit.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great, and we went to the zoo.
All right. And then the next year he was freaked out and scared of the gorilla.
No, then during that year, it got left in the back seat of the car and the windows got left down a couple of times, and it turned into the moldy gorilla suit.
Nate Parker says, "Is this recovery on your website to get a quote? I need one. I have one that I need recovered." Yes, it is. You can go to iPadRehab.com and go to Start Repair, and there's a just say I got an S6 and I need to get the data recovered, and you can mail it right in and follow all the instructions there on iPadRehab.com. All right, Mark, how many
So
more
it's-
balls? What's the ball count? This is like watching the ball drop for New Year's.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. It's really drives home how each hot air station is different,
Yes.
even when they're both JBCs.
Yes.
Because I'm so used to my station back there
Yeah.
that like this would be done.
Right.
But with yours, it's like I every
Yeah,
time
absolutely.
I use a different temperature, I've got to go up and down until I figure out what works
Well,
the best.
it might be because me, or maybe it was one of the students, I'm going to blame Jason, dropped the nozzle on the floor again, and that every time it gets a new dent, you gotta like reconfigure all the temperatures because it's no longer what it was.
I'm gonna go back to nozzle now.
Back to nozzle.
Yeah. So it's really not melting these guys the way I want it to. Can you turn that airflow back up to, I don't know, turn it up to 50?
50?
Yeah.
Okay. 38, 40,
There we go.
50.
All right. See that's what it needed.
Yeah. Jessica, can you use the FLIR camera to find a short? You can use a FLIR camera to find what quadrant of the board is getting hot, but then you're going to, it's nowhere near as that guy as it is with the
Okay. Back down.
with any other method. Any other method of short detection. I mean, it's really of very little use, in my opinion, the FLIR cam, because if you can use the side of your face to be like, it's hot kind of at the top on this side. That's exactly the same kind of resolution you can get out of the FLIR cam. Like, where is it getting hot? Oh, it's getting hot by the sim. Oh, it's getting hot by Tigris. And it doesn't really zone in on anything. You need a titanium probe on a magnetic stand to hold the balls in place while you apply the hot air until it bonds to the pad. Yeah, she uses her cheeks. Yes, the ultimate carry around, always with you, inexpensive, short detection tool. Your face. Everybody has one. Almost. All right, how's it going, Mark?
You know, it's
Now I see one ball missing on that side.
yeah. I've had an easier time of this before. You know,
Well,
pretty much.
You're nervous because you don't like to stream. You're on the spot,
Yeah, I know.
but that's okay.
I
You're
feel like this
professional.
guy got an extra ball right there.
Got an extra ball.
Yeah, I think he's a little too big.
Mm.
All right, we got 3 more, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and knock that big one off and put a small one.
Knock the big ball off.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock it off.
There's really not very. When I do this, I have a lot of flux, and then I make the tweezer make it not allowed to go where he wants to go, and he has to go where I want him to go with flux. It's kind of zen-like though. It just sucks onto the pad like a.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I'm doing this at home, I can put like 10 or 15 balls on,
And then one hot air.
Yeah.
Are you worried that the amount of hot air that this chip is getting is going to make it not read?
I would be if I didn't already know that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, I've made chips get hot way more times than this, and they've been fine. All right, so now,
Are you going to tighten up your balls with flux?
yes,
Okay.
but I'm gonna deal with this guy over here. I don't like the look of him. I'm gonna see if sometimes I can get lucky and just like take part of it
Sucks
off.
off enough. Do you want to use a micro pencil?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I want to
You
turn
maybe
that
you
on
should
though.
Turn on the tweezers. They work a little
You know-
bit better when they're hot.
It's been probably 7 or 8 months since I've used a micro pencil.
Wait, you don't do trace repair with a micro pencil anymore? Oh,
Nope.
you took off too much ball.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I think you touched the bottom ball under.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Nope.
Is the chip
It's okay.
supposed to be brown and bubbling plastic? I don't think it's brown and bubbling plastic. I think you can see a ground plane through there that is copper covered with green, and that looks brown.
Yeah.
So you can really, it's kind of like this, cool little lunar landscape under there.
Yeah, no, the colors you're seeing are the normal color for this chip. Come on, go where I want you to. There you go.
There you go.
All right, now tighten you guys up.
Tighten up your balls.
There we go, everybody.
How many times do you reball this chip and all the balls go down and you don't have to place any by hand?
I'd say half the time it's perfect out of the stencil, more than half. It's really only when I'm on camera and nervous that I have to.
Right. Let's all talk about something else. So that
No,
Mark can
nobody
focus.
watch.
Nobody watch while Mark tightens
Don't
up
look
his
at my balls.
He just needs to cough.
All
All right.
right, come on, guys.
It must be a ground ball.
Yeah, it is. All right, everybody's good.
Everybody's good. Okay. Curtis says look away. 50% of the time it works every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, where's the Q-tip? Can I get a Q-tip?
Yes, the Q-tips are right in front of you. Reach your hand out straight down under the microscope and right in
Not
like
the
right in front of you, like right in front of you. Okay, turn to the left of it so that it's right in front of you. There you go. Got it.
They're intermixed with the razor blades.
No.
No.
They're in their own little slot in the magnetizer.
I didn't look at all. I was trusting you that there was no.
Wait, you were reaching for Q-tips with your eyes closed? I don't recommend
It
that.
was behind the microscope.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Speaking of, have you had a tetanus shot lately?
No, I got away with that. Did I
You
tell
did?
you that I stepped on I stepped on the rustiest rusty nail. This is so rusty. It's in the basement where Jeff used to keep the donkeys and the pig. They used to live in the down garage.
So you stepped
So
on a
there
nail
is, like-
covered in animal.
Well, I don't know about that. So there's still like straw. Its place smells like a barn. Trying
Uh-huh.
to set up a gym, and there's like old, like this is the rustiest nail you could ever have. Old paneling from the 70s. We rip out old paneling, and you've got the trim that has all these long ass nails. So I'm hauling this stuff to the front to make a giant trash pile. And then I'm like, balancing, there's all this crap everywhere. And of course, I'm wearing appropriate footwear, which is none. It's going to be a gym, So I'm totally doing this barefoot. And then I stumble trying to balance this stuff, and I squarely step on a pig and donkey shit covered, feces ridden, rusty nail from the 70s. And I really thought about getting a tetanus shot. Like, I really thought about it. But then I had the course the next day. So I remember walking around being like, I really should go get a tetanus shot. I really should go get a tetanus shot. And then I looked it up, and it said, you need a tetanus shot if all of these things are true, which were totally true. And then it said, that's an emergency. You need to get the tetanus shot right away. And I remember thinking, well, it was yesterday, so I'm already dead. It's too late. It's too late for me. Save yourselves. So and then I saw that the incubation period was something like 8 days or something like that. So then I just kind of like, well, this might be the last 8 days I have left. And then I did kind of walk around like, like what would be the lockjaw tetanus, like, it seems all right. I think I'm good. I'm good. Got one more day. And then I walked around, and then
Did you live every one of them like it was your last?
Not like you'd think. Like if you knew for sure you're getting lockjaw, you're gonna wake up. I should have got a fucking tetanus shot. Then if you knew for sure, you'd do different stuff. What I did with my last 8 days of life is I taught practical board repair school, and that's really exhausting. So then I went to bed.
Ah.
I might have done a couple of streams. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And that's about it. So that's what I did with my last 8 days of life. Potentially, I taught practical board repair school. So those guys better fucking make something of themselves.
That's dedication.
It is. Yeah, I hope that they live long and prosper and do amazing shit.
All right, we want to take a look at this reader before I put the chip in.
Yes, let's see. Let's look at the reader. All right, so we're going to look. So under the microscope, you're going to show us the doohickey that you're going to put the chip in.
So it's this socket, and you push this down, the little arms come up, and then the chip sits there, and the balls have to sit in those slots.
Oh, so they have to go in these. It's an egg carton, and they got to go in there.
Yeah, and touch these little forked guys down there.
Forked guys.
Yeah, they're see, they kind of.
Oh, those the gold guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those things need to cup the balls.
Those are like, yes, I was gonna say those things are ball cuppers. I mean, so you've got to have balls cupped in order for this reader to work.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's really just the design pisses me off.
That seems kind of shitty.
Yeah, because I mean, there's already plenty of stuff out there that has a much better design that they could have,
Pretty much anything except for cup balls. Got to make the balls fit into this little cup. Can't be too big. They got to all be even.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks.
All right, so stick the chip. So what happens here? You stick the chip in.
Stick the chip in.
All right, Nate wants to know, I'm pretty sure the S6 I need recovered died during a firmware update. When plugged in, it says emergency firmware recovery needed. I tried and failed. Do you think recovery is a high chance?
That I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to guess at what point
Mark never guesses
user data might have been wiped. you know, were they like, what was this firmware update? What were they trying to do with it? Were they doing something that could affect the user
Right.
data partition? Because if not, then if it's just the OS that's corrupted,
Right.
then I would say 100% chance of recovering the data, because
Right.
the user data is on a separate partition.
Right. Yes. The answer is, it depends. You know, if why did that thing die? And I would think the only way it's not recoverable is if the data itself is not there anymore, which I think would be a low chance, or if there was something inherent to the structure of the chips that it couldn't write to it, and therefore it couldn't be read. All right, so now what are you doing over here? So let's switch over to, let's wake up this camera, and we're gonna switch over here. Let me wake him up. There he is. Dun, 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 dun. All right, the
All right.
handy hand cam. Okay, so what's going on over here?
So I have opened up the software that is, works with this reader.
I love your custom EMMC reading station. Where did you get that? This stand? It looks like.
This?
Is this a walker?
No, it's obviously a 2-layer shelf, custom built,
Yeah.
made to order.
Very nice. Okay.
It's got a water shelf down here,
Yeah, a water shelf. It's got a little janky paper towel holder going on.
some magnets.
Magnets. Yeah,
Um,
put some tools there.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I've loaded up the DeadyWare UFS software that lets you read these chips, and it is detecting the chip correctly, so that's
How do
always
you
a
know?
good sign.
So let's see.
Um,
So what'd you do? You stuck it in. You stuck it into this thing.
Stuck it into this thing, plugged it into the USB, and opened the software. And on here, I have a green light instead of a red light. So that tells
So
me.
Chris Long gets the green light as well, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing. And then, it says some stuff over here on the side, but this software is not optimized for a 4K display. So, like, I can only see.
Is it all written
the
in
top
Chinese?
half of the text. No, it's English.
Then that is a huge improvement
But-
over existing tools.
Yeah, you have to be able to make out what it says using only the top 4 pixels of each line of text.
Okay, gotcha.
Um,
So if you are over 50 and wear bifocals, you will not be able to read these chips.
and then the buttons to actually read it are invisible until you put the mouse over them.
Okay.
All right, so that's the trick to it, is you got to know where the button should be,
Okay.
and then go there, and then it'll
And then-
appear.
So did you have to kind of like Easter egg hunt that up?
Yeah. So now here is it's saying a bunch of zeros, right?
Yes.
So I think this might be where Chris is going wrong.
Oh, okay.
So down here, you have the option to save memory from, and then, to addresses, and it's by default gives you the very first address and the very last.
Okay.
So that's basically saving, making a copy of every bit on the
Chip.
drive, the
Okay.
chip.
Mm-hmm.
So you hit save memory from that, and it's saying, you said you want to save this memory, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Then I pick where I want to save it to, and I give it a name.
So you can't see any of the data, you just see zeros.
Right. I mean, you can if you were to go back and just punch in like a random, like I'll just put in all 5s, and hit go to, and then that should give us some data up here. Yeah, see now we've got.
There you go,
Data.
Chris Long. Type in 55555. Type in 66666. Go and see if it turns to data instead of zeros.
right.
There
So
you go.
now on this left side, it's still all zeros, but on the right side, I can see that there's data.
Chris Long says you can see the hex. My hex is all 0.
No.
Chris Long says
this-
green light and then goes to busy on read.
Yeah, should go to busy on read, and when it first loads up, you're going to see all zeros. Like that. That's what the hex is going to be, is all zeros. You have to actually pick somewhere you want to read for it to show you any data, or just save the entire thing and then,
Go on a hunt. All right. So go back and say 000. Start at the beginning. and then it's gonna go back to zeros, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you hit save.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't this doesn't affect what part it's saving.
Okay.
But I would hit save, say yes, and then it wants me to save it as a bin file, which I don't like that file extension. That's just
'Cause it
personal
sounds like Bin
preference.
Laden.
Yeah, I save it as an image file,
Okay.
which is just me saying I want you to have the extension IMG instead of BIN, even though your contents is exactly the same.
Okay.
And then once that is done, you end up with if it's a 32 gigabyte phone, you end up with a 32 gigabyte file
Mm-hmm.
that is an image of that disk and all the partitions on it.
Okay.
So then you've got to,
Open it.
have some way to not just open the file, but
Parse.
see that there are different actual partitions,
Mm-hmm.
and then open and look at files within those partitions. And there's a lot of ways to do that. So it's kind of you got to have some experience with Linux because they're all Linux-based file systems.
Okay.
And that kind of is outside of the scope of this video.
Okay.
That's a whole video on
Yeah.
its
Well,
own.
also you can't really do that because then we're getting into somebody's data, which we can't really
Right.
do.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we know for sure that you actually got anything? Because it looks like a bunch of zeros. Show us something.
I mean, what? Show us data from the
Show us
poll
a
I did earlier.
Show us a picture or something.
Okay, well then.
Not one of the nudes.
That's gonna take a couple of minutes to load up.
Okay. Alrighty, let's see what kind of questions is over here. Let's see. First long says you can see the hex, my hex is all 0. Oh good. And we sold one of the quicks and it already arrived.
Oh, nice.
Chris Long says, trust me bro, I've done all this.
Okay, man.
Okay. Alright.
You're just really unlucky.
He says, I've dumped 32 gig files and opened it in UFS Explorer and it shows all 0 zeros, literally no data. Also, my reader goes very, very, very slowly. Okay.
That's weird.
Well,
maybe
we'll just
maybe your
send
reader
you,
is
we'll
bad.
send
but
you
yeah.
a chip and see if you can do it. All right.
Or you could send me one, and one that you can't read, and I'll confirm that either that's not readable or it is.
Mhm. Awesome. So, Chris is cranky about his 0 datas. I would be too if I did all that reballing and got nothing.
Yeah, at least they're
Yeah.
easy to reball.
Yeah. So, do you think you can make this phone work again?
I think there's a good chance with this one. I guess we didn't really go over what the whole deal with this was when it came in.
Yeah. What was the deal
So
with it?
it came in and it was static.
Is your first approach still to make it work as a phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I always with these want to fix whatever the problem is and just have it boot up. Even though really it's easier to pull data from a Samsung if I have root access to the file system.
Mhm.
So making the phone boot actually makes my job harder.
Right, because then you have to do all of the software
Yeah,
and click
but-
and click stuff.
It's a lot more satisfying to me to end up with a working phone, and the customer's happier to have
Yeah.
a phone that works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this one was static screen for about 4 or 5 seconds and then turns back off.
Okay.
And
Static meaning not still, but like
yeah, static like
70s
like,
TV
yeah.
on the wrong channel in the thunderstorm.
Yeah, back when people used to have TVs and
you had to stand up and go to the dial to click it. We got channel 16, 28, 47.
yeah, you'd like have aluminum foil on the ends of your antennas.
What channels did you get?
I got like channel 5 and 3 and 7.
Oh, you were on the VHF. We
Yeah.
only got U. We didn't get any of them. We didn't get 1, 2, 12, 13, none of them. We had to go to U, and then we could go to channel 16, 28, 47. That was it. One of them, by the way, was PBS. So
Yeah, I can't remember which ones, but I
What?
remember there were a
Who
bunch of
doesn't
like.
remember that?
I don't remember most of this.
Let's find out. Hey, Christy,
Yeah,
what channels did you get when you were a kid on TV?
NBC, ABC, CBS, and public
Oh,
television.
she remembers the names of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly,
the
yeah.
same ones everybody got.
Yeah, exactly. Nice guess.
Yeah, but
okay,
what
follow-up
number
question. Was it on? Did you have to go to U and go to like the numbers, like channels?
No, we got like 2, 4, 7, and 13.
2, 4, 7, and 13. We always admire when we would go to visit my grandmother in Baltimore. She got all those channels. That was pretty swanky stuff to be able to get like channel 2 instead of
The
16.
thing that was confusing though is that it was like Channel 8 News
Yeah.
on 11. The number you
At
had to turn the dial
10.
to did not have anything to do with what they called themselves.
Oh, I see. That's tough for math. All right. Mark, I have a Note 2 and the right side of the screen is stationary static. Have you seen that before? Sounds good. Sounds like
Note 2 and the right side of the screen is stationary static. I've not seen that in the Note 2 before, but I do remember that I have seen that in some Samsung. And I think it's not very helpful, but the one time I've seen it, it was the screen. So
yeah, it's fun. Yeah, even I called that one.
yeah.
I ended up too with no backlight.
Q's Tech Service would like to point out that the reason why Chris Long can't get these chips to work is because of his hot air station. I agree. I think Q's Tech Service generally knows what's what. So
Okay.
what do
so
you do? All right, what's going on over here?
there's data.
All right, so there you. That's a nice picture. I'm sure he'll be happy after we ask him for permission to broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
so there you go. All right, let's go back to regular. Let's see if anybody has any questions about Samsung chip off data recovery. Seems to be pretty straightforward. Took some kink working out by Mark, but I think he's I mean the last I don't know dozen that I've heard about, you were like, oh yeah, I already did that, it's fine. Like this one, for example.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to talk to the customer and see if he wants to let me hold on to the board for longer to see if I can get it working again.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe I'll do the reballing both layers of this chip and putting it back on as a stream once I'm back in Florida.
Mm-hmm. All right, sounds good. All right, let's see if anybody else has anything to say. Chris Long says he'll be happy when one works. I have no problem changing if I'm fucking up. I just really don't think I've done anything wrong.
Well, you need an outside
You
opinion.
need independent verification.
Yep.
So send us a chip, or we can send you one of these chips. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, another vote for half static screen issue is the display, not the phone.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that it can be the display would make me think that it also can be the phone.
Right.
My approach to that would be to diode mode the connector versus a known good and see if there's a difference, and also confirm that screen works correctly
Right.
on a known
Nate
good.
says chip off recovery. Can it still be done if it's encrypted? No.
Nope.
So like the $5,000 iPhone machine. What? No. So it's still like Mark's approach on all of these is to make the phone work again. If it's clearly a software problem, like it sounds like yours is, then that's probably not an option unless there's a clear, obvious hardware fault that would cause that. But if a phone is encrypted, then there's still a path to data if you make the phone work again by solving hardware problems, just like any iPhone, in order to get a path to data.
Yeah, with the Samsungs, you do have more options with software than you do with an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you can get the phone working, but you still can't get it to boot up because of a software problem, you can use Odin to flash TWRP and
Right.
still access the user data partition without
Right.
actually getting the phone to
Right.
boot into the OS.
Right.
So
All right, so there you go.
I like the Androids better than the iPhones for data recovery.
I can understand why. Enzo wants to know, can he use Test Disk and PhotoRec for data recovery with Linux?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a bunch of files that don't have their names anymore, it's.
Did you ever try this? Chris Long wants to know if is the Samsung encryption tied to the CPU, or can the chip be swapped to a working device? I'm pretty sure it can be swapped. That's the
I
conventional
believe
wisdom.
that it can,
But it's carrier dependent.
yeah, it's carrier dependent, and because it's a 2-layer chip, you would have to take off that bottom layer and reball it because it's underfilled. So, I've never wanted to go through all of that trouble
Right.
just to find out.
Right. Yeah. Alrighty. I don't know. I feel like I was just thinking of something that was important, but I can't remember it.
It was probably.
Oh yeah, it was the idea. So about this whole idea, one of the things that we wanted to try, that if we come up with some working phones, that we're gonna try with the iPhone NAND stuff to see if the hardware encryption key is within the CPU or if it's within the NAND, by taking the NAND off. Because a lot of times we're all going NAND error, bad NAND, NAND error, bad NAND. We don't really know for sure. That's just kind of the catch-all, way to point a finger. So so Mark's idea was, hey, why don't we take a working phone? We'll take off the NAND, and then we'll put on a new NAND, and then we're going to restore the phone. Take that NAND off, and then put on the original working NAND and see if it can no longer, or can it still read the NAND, or does it wake up and think that it was the original phone before restoring?
Does the encryption key change after every restore, or when you swap?
Well, where is it stored? If it's stored in the NAND, then when you take that NAND off and you put the old NAND on, it will go back to the old encryption key. If the encryption key is stored in the CPU or somewhere else,
or I don't know, if the encryption key is generated based on information from each of the chips, and that's why you can't.
Yeah, so it
swap
sounds
them.
like some fun magic, and it is that time of year when everybody wants to save up for Christmas and not send phones to get fixed anymore. So which for us is going to mean it's the time of year to do science and experimenting. So you can look for more fun experiments coming out of iPad Rehab. If you have some ideas of things that you'd like to try, one of the ideas that I thought would be fun as a community of repair people would be to take, to sort of do dividable jobs where, what if a whole group of people did something like, let's just verify some of the stuff that we think. Let's all take the next TriStar job and start with A1, B1, C1, and each person just delete a ball, put the chip on, see what happens, so that we can kind of confirm, like, I don't think Mikey Bus does anything. It has to do with microphones. I don't think it has anything to do with charging. I don't think chips cares. I don't think it's going to be a problem with boot. But I don't know that for sure, and I'd like to. So I think it'd be fun to do that with all kinds of stuff. So if you have an idea about what would be fun to do in experimentation, in the lab, in the research, then let us know, and we'll see if we can work on that, because it is the time of year for experimenting. All right, and that is going to be it for our stream. So thank you for watching, and we will